his body and soul for some rope and wood. Following the stars on a long cold night. No man can say if he's wrong or right. It was a sad shame and wonder. Never could have laid her down. Captain, my captain, turn that boat around. Captain, my captain, turn that boat around. Captain, my captain.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming to the Islamorada Fishing Club. It's my pleasure to have all of you here. I'm the club manager. And I want to introduce a guy that's been here since 1964. He's going to MC tonight, and you're going to hear a lot of great stories from a lot of great fishermen. And I'm going to hand it over to Skip Brady. Here you go, Captain.
Wow, what a great turnout. Listen up. This is our first of many. I just got involved in this thing recently with thank you, Ron Levy, by the way. I'm going to get all my kids up here. Ron Levy, where are you? Come on up here, Ron Levy. He's the brainstorm of this right here. Ron Levy, please, please. Get up here. This is the guy that started all this about Ron Levy. Called me a couple of months ago, Skippy, would you show up and have some fun with us? And boy, I'm having a ball, I know. Come on, Ron. I'll get up here right now. The whole idea of this is to raise money for the IFC. Ronnie, can you tell us more, ICE, tell us more about it. What's going on with this money we raised tonight?
The money for tonight goes to the scholarship fund that ICE has. It gives money to our students in high school and middle school to continue their interests in the arts. And your help and your support is making it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. So much work goes into this to get this good. You know, some of the sponsors always, Bill Gilbert. It's Bill Caribbean Marine. Oh, man, too bad. I'll tell you, this guy at Forest Tech, Alan Wood, he's got his friend in the back, his lovely daughter and his significant other right there, Michael, at this particular part of her life. We got Forest Tech Marine. Mangrove Mike, he's not here either? What's wrong with that boy? And Barbara and Eric from the Carl Foundation and Anonymous Donors. And thank you so much. Students from the video production crew. Ryan Raines. Ryan, where are you, Ryan? All right, Ryan. Jonathan Callaghan. Cahagan. Catherine Roth. Will Ross. Zane Anderson. And I'll tell you what, Sean Anderson. Documentary producers Nancy and David Novak. They're the ones that put this thing together. Thank you so much for all the work you've done. This is going to be on NPR, this is going to be on radio, TV, and maybe somewhere in another world, which we live long enough, we'll see. I thank everybody again for being involved in this. I want to tell you right now, I want to introduce the stars of the show right here. I want them all up in front of me right now. Craig Brewer, Tim Klein, Ben Spaulding, Randy Towle, Billy Knowles, Richard Stedwick, Ben Eklund, and Eddie Whiteman, right up here. Get your cameras, let's flash them. Right here, guys, right here. Here we go. Hey, dig those shorts, all right, Brewer? Wow, is that hot or what? Eddie, look at you, how handsome you are. This is get the best dressed right here, Betty. Richard Stedwick, Bud and Mary's finest. He took this place over, and boy, what a job done. Timmy Klein, in the house he was most old. And Billy knows you're 112 years old, and thank you for showing. And Randy Towle, my boy, wow. This is a team. We're going to vote them. They're going to tell the stories, and we're going to get going. Thank you very much. Take a bow, boys, and get back to your seats. Let's go. All right, we've got, what's that? Come on over here. Avada, Miss Avada. We're going to call Avada. Wait, come up here. Karen, come up here, please. Here's the rules. Tell us what we're going to do.
Hello. My name's Karen Neal. I'm very delighted to be here to help with the proceedings. And I have the important job of being the timekeeper because as we know, if you can't tell a good story in 5 to 7 minutes, then we're just going to have to be here all night. So, at the 5-minute mark, I will go. At the 6.5-minute mark, I will go. At the 7-minute mark, I will go. And then you'll be off the stage.
That's fair for everybody, right? I'll tell you, we're not going to hook you to the neck. But this is what, Amada's going to do this, right? So you got 5 minutes plus a 2-minute, and we're going to start, and then voting. Here's how the voting goes. Karen, you want to tell us about this? Come on, do this. Come on, baby. I can do it. I want you to do it. Speak loudly.
Do I have to speak loudly? I've got a microphone in front of me. You are all asked to vote for your favorite storyteller. The way this works is with your ticket, you have one free vote. Now, the beautiful Beth Levy over there, waving her hands, and I will either collect your tickets, and you can write the name of your favorite storyteller on here, and we'll collect it after the show and put them in the fish bowls over there with the people's names on them. Or you can do that yourself. In addition, the beautiful Beth Levy over there and I will be selling extra votes. So you get one free vote, but then any extra vote costs just the absolute super steal price of $10 each. 2 for $20. How's that for a deal?
Wow, do the math.
Is that not great? And we have a special deal for 3. $30. $30. So we will be collecting extra, we will be selling you extra votes. So if you want your favorite storyteller to win one of these beautiful carved trophies over here.
What's that look like? Yes, it looks like a fishtails. Ed, please, tell us more about the fishtails right here. I want to thank you right here, please.
All right, these fishtails were donated by John Michael of the Ashcroft Galleries. He's the chainsaw carver you may have seen around town carving the big trees. He carved and donated those for us.
Thank you very much. I tell you what, the show, I'm going to like all these stories, but the show, and I'm impartial, I'm going to sweeten the pot. I'm going to put $10 in each one of these to start myself because I would donate these anyway. So somebody take this money and put that in the mic. Come over here. Put 10 in each one for me. That's the spirit of America. You're ready to rock and roll. Listen up, kids. Here it starts. Craig Brewer, you're on the clock. Let's go, baby. Craig Brewer in the house. Come on, baby.
Icebreaker. I'm not sure why. Because I'm the loudest one in the room. I really don't need this microphone, but I'll give it to you anyway. Anyway, those of you who know me. I don't want to bore you with an introduction. Those of you who don't, I'm Craig Brewer. I grew up in Islamorada, a 52-year resident, almost 52-year resident. My father fished out of the Lorelei. He used to park his boat right here when this used to be called the Islamorada Yacht Basin. He and Eddie Whiteman parked the boats right out here. My story, I've got plenty I could tell you, but I had to pick one, so I'm going to talk about Gold Cup 2010. The Gold Cup is a tarpon tournament that started back in 1964. I believe when it first started, it was a fly, plug, and spin tournament, and in 1974 or 72, I think they changed it to an all-fly tournament. It's pretty much the echelon of tarpon fishing in the world, and which happens here in Islamorada. I grew up watching guys like Eddie Whiteman, Billy Knowles, Hank Brown, Cecil Keith, Jimmy Albright, Jack Brothers, fishing the tournaments. I used to come to the docks and I'd see them bring in their catch for the day. Back then they used to stick them with an 8-foot straight gaff and bring in the weight fish, and they would get points for their releases, but they'd bring them in. We'd come at the end of the day, you see them lay the tarpon on the dock there, and this was the men of men fishing for the fish of fish in Islamorada, and for me, that was the epitome. So, fortunately, when I Grew a little bit older, I got into the guiding business. A lot of my friends, or my dad's friends, were still in the industry, and they helped me get started. They taught me a lot of things, Billy Knowles, whatever. So one of the things I really wanted to do one day was fish in the Gold Cup tournament and possibly win the Gold Cup tournament. I started guiding in 1987 when I was 27 years old. I started, the first year that I started guiding, I actually started fishing in the Gold Cup. I had some fairly good anglers. We caught a bunch of fish. We did a bunch of things. We had a good time, but we never won. We never got close. We never even really competed because there was other guys out there who knew a lot more than me and had some great experiences on the water and caught a lot more fish than I could even think about finding. But in 2010, I met up with a guy, actually in probably 1990 somewhere, I met up with a guy named Thane Morgan, who's an orthopedic surgeon from Amarillo, Texas, who used to catch redfish on a fly rod. And he came down and he says, I want to learn how to catch tarpon. So I fished with him for a long time, and I finally taught him how to start catching tarpon, and he became a pretty good angler. So in 2010, we got into the Gold Cup, and we were competing against the best of the best. I think, let me see. I brought some things that I was going to try to tie a fly and do a little demonstration while I was up here talking, but then I found out my time is cut, so. All my notes are right. Okay, anyways, the tournament was originally started in 1964. Some of the guides who won as grand champion were Jimmy Albright, Cecil Keith, Hank Brown, Jack Brothers, Stu App, Steve Huff, Nat Ragland, George Hummel, Harry Spear, Eddie Whiteman, and Clarence Lowe. Some of the anglers, five-time winner, Glenn Flutie, Andy Mill won it 5 times. 4-time champion Billy Pate himself. I know we're doing a big celebration for Billy and the thing tomorrow. Hope everybody will attend that. 3-time winner Sandy Moret, Azu Maruhashi, 2-time winner Ted Champion, 2-time champion Ted Williams, famous baseball player. So this is something that I really looked up to and really wanted to get involved with and really wanted to compete in and hopefully one day win. 2010 was a pretty crazy year. Everybody knows we had a real hard freeze in the winter that year. A lot of fish were killed and the tarpon weren't here for a long time, but when they showed up big time. All right, I'm basically going to go through a quick synopsis of my 5-day Gold Cup experience. All right, if I get lost and I bore you, I'll try to, the week before, or 2 weeks before the Holly took place, and then 2 weeks earlier, and there were record fish being caught. I think we caught 18 fish. Thane Morgan and I fished in that tournament too. We caught 18 fish that week and didn't even place because the winner caught 26, second place caught 24, third place caught 22. So going into the Gold Cup 2 weeks later, we knew there was going to be some serious competition. We're going to have to do some serious fishing. All right, on day 1, we start off, it's pretty simple. We go out fishing. Fish is pretty good. We catch a couple of releases. We catch a 114-pounder. The system has changed from when it first started. They used to stick the fish with a straight gaff and kill the fish and bring them in. Now we've gone to an all-release format where you actually try to fight the fish to the boat. If you see that he's a release fish, you chase him down, grab the leader, break him off, you get your 200 points, he's a release. A weight fish, if you hook a fish and you chase him down, grab the leader, do your thing, whatever. Okay, I'm getting rushed. So I'm going to get down to like on Wednesday, the 3rd day of the tournament.
Go ahead, everybody's got the same time. Go.
I'm fishing about a mile from Channel 5, and we hook a fish. It's a huge fish, and he's fighting us. He's taking us to the bridge. I'm doing everything I can to get in front of him, cut the fish off, and stop him, And I've been through this before, so I told my angler, I said, Thane, this fish is going to take us to the bridge an hour from now. He's going to wrap us around the pond. We're going to break him off. So pull on him, either break him off, turn him, we'll get him, or whatever. So anyway, he starts pulling on, we break the fish off. So it's like, okay, we lost the fish. We got the 200 points for the release because we didn't got the lead or whatever. Go back to our spot. See a push come by, throw out in front of him, fish eats, boom, boom. Big head comes out of the water, it's huge. We see the fly go flying about 6 feet in the air, and it's, oh my God, look at the size of that fish. Anyway, 10 minutes later, another push comes by, makes a good cast, we hook a fish. 20 minutes later, we boat him. He's a 140-pounder, 140.5-pounder. We come in at the end of the day, weigh the fish in, or measure, do the measurement of the girth and whatever. He's 140 and a half. He's a half-pound bigger than the one that Glenn Flutie, 5-time champion, and his angler Tom Siska bring in. So At the end of Wednesday, we're in the lead by 100 points, okay? Thursday, we have a little bit of a problem, and we fall behind, okay? So I'm going to tell you about Friday, the last day of the tournament. All right, the day before, I'd gone out to this spot, and I had a good incoming tide till about 11 o'clock, so I had a good 4 hours of incoming tide, so we had 6 bites. Couldn't catch one of them. Couldn't release one of them. Couldn't keep one on long enough to catch them and get the point. So we're like, oh, my God. So I leave, go to another spot. We get 3 releases. It puts us back in contention, but we're behind. So going into the last day, we're down by 100 points to Glenn Flutie, 5-time champion, and Tom Siska, 2007 grand champion. And we go out fishing, and we go to a spot, and we're sitting there waiting. Same place we caught or hooked 6 before, the day before, and didn't catch any. So I know they're going to be there. They're not coming. They're not coming. They're not coming. I see a push come by. I say, Thane, push coming at 11 o'clock. Put your cast out there. Put a good cast out there. Ooh, I see the fish eat. I go to permits. He goes, what? I go to permits. So he fights him on a 12-weight tarpon leader, 60-pound shock, all this stuff. We catch him at a 30-pound permit. We go, oh, my God, what a great catch. We don't need no permit. What the hell? We haven't seen a tarpon yet. So about 15 minutes goes by, we go back to our spot, and I see another push coming. I go, Thane, another push near 3 o'clock. He throws out there, boom, he gets right behind it. The fish slings out about our 1. I go, Thane, put it out in front of him. He puts it out in front of him. Woo, we hook him. Shoo, another permit. Oh, 2 permit on fly. What a great morning. We don't need a freaking permit. We're tarpon fishing. I haven't seen a tarpon yet. 20 minutes later, see a little push. Here we go. Woo! Throws out there, hooks a fish. Woo! About a 60-pounder jumping off. I go, he's a release. Let's go get him. We go out there, get him, get the leader, break him up. All right, 200 points. We got the release, but we don't need release points. We need weight fish points. We need a weight fish. So we go back to the spot. We're sitting there. 10 minutes later, Thane, fish coming the wrong way. 11 o'clock, heading right. Woo! Throws out there. Woo! We hook him, get out there. Nice fish. Boom. Good. This one's a weight fish. We're going to go catch him. So we're fighting this fish. You know, back in the day when the fish swam by the boat, you had 8-foot straight gaff. If you swam by the boat, you stuck them with a gaff. Now you got to subdue the fish, grab them by the face with your hand, or put a lip gaff in them. Try to be nice and gentle with them, whatever. Okay, I got this fish on. We're pulling on him. He's in deep water. I can't get him turned around, so he's swimming away from me the whole time, and the boat's drifting down on him. So I reach out and I grab him by the tail. But I can't get his face, so I grab him by the tail. Woo! He takes off. I go, oh, she didn't like that, man. She didn't like that. So bring her around again, bring her around again. I reach out, grab her by the tail again. Woo! Finally, I get her up, and I got her. On Wednesday, we released a 140-pounder the same exact way. I grabbed her by the tail, grabbed her by the anal fin, grabbed her by the dorsal fin, grabbed her by the pec, stuck my stick in her mouth, and got her up. Okay, wait, you can't cut me off yet. You can't cut me off yet.
Let's go. We're rolling you.
All right, but anyways, I get this fish up, and I can't get a hold of anything. And the boat's drifting over the fish is there. I got a hold of his anal fin, I got a hold of his dorsal, I got a hold of his pecs. I get up around his face, it won't open his mouth, I can't get a gill plate, nothing. Woo, flying into the boat. I don't have her. Fish swims around, Thane brings her around again. I do this 4 times. On the 4th time she's falling in the boat, I got my finger stuck in each eye socket, just trying to get a hold of something. I can't hold anything. She falls in the boat again, I'm going, oh! All right, this could be the winning fish. I don't know. I'm 100 points behind going into the last day, so I need this fish. So he finally brings it around, mouth open. I stuck my hand in his mouth, grabbed a hold of it by the tongue, stuck my other hand in there, grabbed a hold of it, put it in the boat. It's like, whoo! All right, we got our weight fish. All right, we went on to catch 4 more releases that day, and I still wasn't sure whether or not we were going to win because we were competing against 5-time grand champion Glenn Flutie as a guide, and 2007 grand champion Tom Siska, who the day before had caught 2 nice weight fish and were 100 points ahead of us going into the last day. Anyway, came back to the dock, weren't sure what was going to happen, didn't know if we had enough to score or whatever, waited for him to come in. He caught 1 weight fish, 1 release. I think we scored 7,120 points, second most points ever scored in the tournament. Won the largest weight fish at 140 and a half. Won most releases with 18. We swept the tournament. I brought a prop with me.
I changed the rules here. These stories are too good. They shut them down. I could not shut that story down. Come on. There it is.
I brought a prop with me, and if you take a second to look at some of the names that are engraved on this trophy, you'll see that there's names of a bunch of legends that have fished in this area before. Eddie Whiteman, I know, is on here.
Eddie's here.
Hank Brown's on here. When I won the tournament, I dedicated it to my good friend Captain Billy Knowles, because at the time I think he was in the hospital dealing with a carotid artery problem or something of the sort. I'm not sure which, but one of the best things to come out of this whole thing, and one of the things I remember most was the calls of congratulations from guys like Hank Brown, Gary Register, Harry Spear, Steve Huff, and those guys who called and congratulated me and said, welcome to the club. All right? I could tell you 1,000 different stories. This is the one I picked out for tonight. Hope y'all enjoyed it.
Hey, Craig Brewer, thank you so much. Some of these stories we can't tell in 5 to 7 minutes. The only reason we set up like that because we didn't have anybody, we hope, well, they don't want to get home in a hurry. Well, you're not going to get home in a hurry tonight because we're going to let everybody have equal amount of time, about 12 minutes. Yes?
I got one other thing I got to say. This is just for votes, okay? This is just for votes, but my father won the tournament as the Guide to the Grand Champion in 1974, the year before he died in a plane crash out back looking for tarpon. I won it in 2010. He and I are the only father-son Guide to the Grand Champions on the trophy. Thank you very much. So I really don't need your vote. I have everything I need already. Thank you very much.
Hey, Timmy Klein, come on up here, son. Timmy, look my boy. I tell you, his first job he ever had on the water, I think, out of high school, was he worked on the blue chip, the original blue chip with me. And I tell you what, I could win this thing if I told stories about Timmy. I'm gonna let him tell stories about himself. Welcome, Timmy Klein.
Thank you. Skip Ray Dean was my last boss. I went and got my own captain license. Hi, I'm Tim Klein, born and raised like Kreger. Been guiding since '86. That's what I love to do.
We could tell you some stories.
Oh, yeah. Can't be done. Anyway, you're wasting my time, Brewer. I don't know how I can compete with that story. It was fantastic. I want to switch it up from since I'm a backcountry guide and done most of that, but done plenty of offshore stuff. I want to go with the sailfish tournament, Sandy Moret's fly sailfish tournament. A few years ago, my brother Robert and I were fishing in it, and Buddy and Shay Wilton that were our sponsors in the tournament. Starting with the first day, big day with I think there was 3 boats coming lines out with 2 fish each. We're in 3rd place or in time. And it's a release tournament. You got to fight the fish to the boat with and it's very exciting for me to get on the other side and get on the back of a boat, which is off an offshore boat, and throw a fly. So I'm fishing with Captain Mel Walker in the gotcha, and I came up with this new hook. It's been for years, like 8, 10 years, fishing in this tournament, hooking fish after fish and not keeping them on. I found this neat hook to use. I bring it down to the dock and show these guys. They look at me like I had a third eye. It's a weird bass hook. And all these years of double hooks and, wires on them and sharp and this and that, and we just can't keep them on. So the first day of the tournament, we catch 2. We just can't believe that these hooks would work. And so everything that we threw at, we stuck. We caught 2, broke 1 off. Going into the last day now, and it's I don't know. It's like 9:30 in the morning. My brother hooks 1 up, and we break another 1 off. Don't know what happened, and then all of a sudden, it's whoever wins the. You got to catch these fish on time. So here we go. We get a school of fish up. My brother hooks up, and got the fish, cleared the line, he's off running, and all of a sudden Captain Mel yells down to me, he goes, Tim, there's a school of fish still behind the boat. So I'm like, I panic, I run inside the cockpit, grab a fly rod, pull it out, strip some line out, and there's 4 or 5 fish swimming behind the boat. And I make a roll cast and slam it on the water, and one comes up and just inhales it. All of a sudden, he starts running, I get a big knot in my fly line. I'm screaming, go, go, go! We're screaming backwards, and I'm trying to get this knot through the guides and get it undone. It pops out of the guides, and off we go with a double header. So now we're just stoked, totally stoked now. And in this tournament, if you can get the nail knot into the rod tip after a minute, you get an extra 50 points. So about 20 minutes into this fight, my brother gets a nail knot, and so we take the lead of the tournament at this moment. So we're really excited. Now we've got the lead. Sometimes in this tournament, catching one fish in 2 days, Bob Lodge, and yeah, oh, there you are. Yeah, I hear you. So now we're just so nervous, and now we got the lead, and we're fighting them away, and my brother's fish takes off, my fish takes off. Now both fish are just going opposite directions. We got these big reels. One's called they're made by Billy Pate T-bore reels, and one's a Gulfstream and one's a Pacific. Hold tons of backing. So I get my nail knot on, so now we got a 100-point lead. And we're fighting these fish, and Captain Mel's got the radio down real quiet, and so we can't hear what's going on with the other boats. And we see other boats running in because we've got 2 fish on, and here comes the Esperanza. I think Craig's on the boat with Rusty Alberry and Sandy Moret and Bob Rich. And all of a sudden, they hook up a fish. So they're all fighting a fish, and they're our competitors. And during that fight, Mel doesn't tell us, but while we're fighting our fish, and our fish keep going opposite ways. As soon as we get a fish up to the boat where we have to bill the fish, just can't like a typical tournament where you just get the leader in, you pop them off. We got to bill the fish, take a picture of it, let it go. So now, every time we get to the point where the fish is right at the stern, get ready to bill it, I got no line on my spool. So I'm like, go, go, go. You know, so all of a sudden we have to leave the fish that we're getting ready to bill and go off after my fish. Now, during this time, our fish keep separating, so Robert and I are taking turns. When his fish is going backwards, my fish is going off the bow. We got to take the fly rod, put it in the corks in our mouth, and walk on the gunnel up to the bow, which only has about this room, you know. And Robert Bellies and I are just like scraping the windows, and we're trying to get over there, you know. And it's just crazy. And then we back down on some other fish, and we almost get it to the to bill it, and my brother be yelling, "Go, go, go! I'm getting spooled." And then during that part of the fight, the Esperanza boats their fish to take take the lead. You know, so they're hooting and hollering. Mel's not telling this to us, you know, thank God. So I'm like sitting up on the bow. I can't pull on my fish because Robert's trying to get his fish. Next thing you know, the fish switch. Next thing Robert's going down one side of the boat. I'm going down the other side of the boat with the rod butts in our mouths. And there's times on my Pacific reel that holds 500 yards of backing that I have half the arbor shown, which I only have about 10 wraps of line around it, which is about 6 feet of line. And now it's like, and you get up there, and I get in the back, and I'm yelling, "Go, go, go!" And Robert's fish is like right at the boat. Oh, we're chasing after mine. His line is going way out the other way. Now, 2 hours into the fight, we finally get up to Robert's fish, and we bill him. So yeah, and bill him, pull him in the boat, take pictures, get the fly out. So we're really excited, but now we're still, and actually now we have the lead because we got 150 points for that fish and 50 for mine. And getting a double header like this is scary.
Timekeeper, where's the tambourine?
Hey, take that time off. So now that we got my brother's fish in the boat, and we're taking pictures, and everybody's very happy. I look out, and I have hardly any line on my reel again, and it's 500 yards out. There's one lobster buoy in 200 feet of water, 500 yards behind the boat, and I'm like looking down the line. I go, "Mel, you see that buoy?" I go, "My sailfish is around that buoy." He goes, "Tim, that's really a long ways away." And I go, "Trust me, I know it's around this buoy." So we're backing up to that thing, and I'm winding and winding and winding. We get up to that buoy. Sure as shit, there it is, right behind wrapped around the buoy. Now you got to figure out which way the fish go. So one of the mates go out to grab a gaff. I go, "No, you can't assist me. You can't grab the buoy." I says, "I got to do this on my own." So I just took an educated guess that we backed up so far the fish had to go back the opposite way. We're lucky we didn't back over the fly line. We get up to the buoy, I get the rod down there, wow, it's off. Wow, the fish is still on. You know, I get it off the buoy, I'm so excited. And then we back up and we get up there and the fish is just he's dog-ass tired now. He's just worn out because he's the whole fight. Now it's 2.5 hours into the fight and we back up to that sucker and bill him and we ended up winning grand champion, one of the biggest fly fish tournaments, which was a big deal. So, thank you.
Great story. I tell you what, we were out there that day. I don't know if anybody's ever caught a doubleheader on fly in this tournament. Rob, has anybody ever caught a doubleheader? Right? I didn't ask you that. I said a doubleheader. There's a difference. Now pay attention to what I'm saying. All right, so in other words, nobody's ever caught a doubleheader except the Klein brothers with the thing. Oh, you got a doubleheader? Oh, Benjamin's got a double. All right, well, there you go. Somebody that's good. Well, that's a great story. I tell you what. Oh, yeah. Well, Timmy, he's out of time for that. Meanwhile, Timmy's son, 11 years old, caught a sailfish on fly, the youngest ever in the Florida Keys. Timmy, you should have mentioned that. Randy Toll, T-O-W-E. Come on, Randy Toll. Where's my boy? Randy does it all. He does sword fishing, backcountry, offshore. He builds and develops boats. I'll tell you what, if there's any stories, he's going to have one. So let the clock start when he gets to the stage. Randy Toll, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, everybody. My name's Randy Toll. I moved down here in 1981 from Fort Lauderdale. And moved down here that year, and I saw everybody flats fishing. I thought it was kind of cool. And I go, you know what? That looks like something I could do. So I spent the first year just kind of fishing, driving around, figuring it out, understanding it, running into guys like Billy Knowles and Hank Brown and Flip Pallet and, you know, running these guys over, going in the wrong way, getting in front of them. So it was an education. But I had gotten my captain's license and, you know, kind of went through the school of hard knocks for about 10 years. And late 80s, started figuring out things, you know, liking it. And I go, God, these guys winning these tournaments, this is cool. You know, I gotta, you know, work with some anglers and try to get into this. So it was 1981, or 1991, I started fishing with this guy, Fred Arbona from Arizona. And he was a trout guy. He didn't know much about tarpon fishing, but he was a great angler. So I said, Fred, I want you to come down and fish the Don Holly tarpon tournament with me. I need somebody that can really fish because I think we could win this thing. Yeah, I don't want to fish tournaments. I don't like tournaments. I'm a trout guy. Come on, you got to come down. You got to fish this thing. Okay. So he comes down, and he's the kind of guy that when he's here, he's going to fish around the clock. He stayed at a hotel in Grassy Key called the Golden Grouper. And the Golden Grouper had great bone fishing on the shoreline. So at night, he would go at night, because we fished during the day. And he would bone fish at night. And he'd fish till 10, 11 o'clock. So he would show up late, which was his M.O. So we're fishing the Don Holly, and you know, the best of the best was fishing back then. I mean, there were great guides and anglers in it, and you know, I'm all charged up thinking, you know, we can get this done. And the first day we catch a couple of fish, and we're not in the lead by any means or thinking we've got a chance at it, but we're picking away. And about Wednesday, you know, it's looking promising. Maybe we can pull this off. So Thursday comes, and we're one fish behind. And fishing's kind of slow. Back then, you know, to win that tournament, you needed 12 or 13 fish. It wasn't like now where you've got to have 25 to win the thing. Different times, different places. So the last day, I can't sleep. I'm at the boat ramp at the Lorelei, 4 o'clock in the morning, ready to go. And back then, it was out of Papa Joe's. So I get the boat down to Papa Joe's. I'm waiting. Everybody leaves. I'm still waiting. It's 8 o'clock. I'm waiting. I can't take it. There's no cell phones, there's no communication, there's no what's going on, what happened. I'm thinking, oh, he got in a car crash, he overslept, who knows. So about 9 o'clock, I see him strolling down the parking lot at Papa Joe's. As he's walking down the parking lot, he's got his hand out like this, because he knows I'm not happy. He walks up to the boat and he goes, don't even start with me. I go, where were you? He says, I was bone fishing all night. The bone fishing was really good. I go, we're in a tarpon tournament. Come on. He goes, look, whatever you were going to do at 9 o'clock, well, let's just go do it. I go, I don't know what I was going to do at 9 o'clock. I don't know what I was going to do at 8 o'clock. He goes, well, just go where you think we would have ended up at 9 o'clock, and let's see what happens. So off we go. So by now, if anybody tarpon fishes, you know how it is. By 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it's a parking lot. So you're not going to get the spot that you want. You're not going to have what you want. So I go by the first place, and I go, oh, there's 3 boats. I go by the next spot. Oh, there's 4 boats over there. I go, Arbona, you're killing me. I go, we may as well not even go. He goes, just pick a spot. So we go to the Point of Buchanan. Nobody's there. Well, this is probably a bad sign. There's no fishing. So we get there, and I'm kind of getting in position. I get up on the bank, and Fred gets his rod out, and he goes, oh, hey, what's this? I go, well, that's a school of fish. You know, the boat's moving. We're not even ready. He's getting his fly line out. They go underneath the boat. He's come out the other side. He just casts out there, and he catches one. I go, you got to be kidding me. So we go off, and we catch it, a release fish. So there's one. He goes, see, I told you. We're going to have a good day. Just keep going, put me on him, and I'll catch him. I go, all right. So we go. At this point now, it's, you know, mid-morning, almost noontime, and I go, well, let's go to the ocean. We got to find something swimming and hope we, you know, have enough chances. Sure enough, we get out to the ocean. We get on a spot. Nobody's there. Get there, we catch another fish. So we catch 2. Now it's late in the afternoon. We got an hour left, and we're thinking, oh man, with those 2 fish, we might have a chance at this, because fishing was kind of slow. So it's 2:45. We're sitting at Long Key Point, and a lot of the other guides come out in the afternoon, and they'll wait for you to leave, and then they'll take your spot, because they know line's out at 3. So there were 2 boats sitting next to us, wanting to get our spot when we're done. So I'm talking to one of the guys. I said, just back off, give me a few minutes. You know, if we get a good shot here, you know, we got to catch one more. 3 minutes to 3. Here they come. I go, Fred, you see him? He goes, I got him. And this guy's wound up tighter than a 3-day alarm clock. I go, don't mess it up. We don't have time for another one. This is all you're going to get. This is it. And I yell at one of the guys. I go, hey, what time do you guys have? They go, 3 o'clock, or 3 minutes to 3. I said, we're good, right? They go, yeah. Because the last thing I want is somebody to say, oh, they caught a fish after 3 o'clock. Because it was close. Here they come. He throws out there just like it's supposed to be. He hooks the fish. We got him on. And back then I had a little Maverick Mirage. It was blue. So they called it the Blue Shark, because we got on this thing really quick once we hooked him. Because it's a release tournament. So the last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time fighting this thing. Well, I want to get it over. So we get the fish on, and we're fighting it, and thank goodness it wasn't a big one, like a 60, 70-pound fish. Sure enough, we catch him. So we caught this fish right at almost lines out. We get back to the dock. Everybody's at Papa Joe's. Back then, we had little sticks where we put flags on. And we come in, we have our 3 flags flying, and we end up winning the whole thing. That was the first Don Holly that I won, 1991. Got time for one more? Okay. A couple. I got one quick story to tell, an Eddie Whiteman story, if I got time. Eddie Whiteman, one of the great bonefish guides down here, was fishing in a spot off of Craig Key. And I would see him in there, and I'd be tarpon fishing. I'd see him bone fishing, and I would never go crowd him or get in his spot or get around him when he's bone fishing. You know, he's bone fishing, I'm tarpon fishing, but I could see what's going on. So one day we're sitting in there tarpon fishing, and the guy goes, "Think we can go bone fishing?" So I go, "Huh, I don't see Whiteman anywhere." I go, "Yeah, the tide's about right." So I go, "Well, let's just wait a minute. You know, it's too perfect right now, and I'm sure he's going to come wheeling around the corner any minute. So let's just hold out." So about an hour goes by, and he goes, come on, Cap. Tide's getting right. Can we go bone fishing?" "All right, let's go." So we go in there, and we were throwing shrimp. We weren't fly fishing. We were fly fishing for tarpon, but we had bait for bone fishing. Go in there, and they're everywhere. There's bonefish over here. They're mudding, they're tailing, they're this. I'm going, "Oh my God, this is what Whiteman's been doing. Holy cow, this is unbelievable." We get in there, we caught 11 bonefish in about an hour and a half. And the whole time I'm looking, come on, get it in, get it in. I know he's coming around the corner any minute. I don't want him to see me in here. This is not going to look good. So the guy goes, "Hey, what fish is this? I got something. This is a big bonefish." I go, "No, it's a permit." He goes, oh, cool. Caught a permit, caught 11 bonefish, caught another permit, and I said, "That's it. We're out of here. I'm getting out of here before Whiteman comes, because I know he's probably watching this, waiting at the bridge. He's going to whoop my butt when we come through there. We're out of here." Guy goes, No. This is the best day of fishing we've ever had." I go, "It's over. We're out of here." So he goes, "All right. Come on, we got the bonefish, we got the permit, can we catch a tarpon?" I go, "All right, we still have a little time." We go to Channel 2, we catch 2 tarpon. One of the best days of flats fishing I ever had.
And Eddie Whiteman never did show up that afternoon. Thank goodness for you, pal. I guarantee it. Eddie would not be happy. Citizen of all these kids that told stories. This is the senior citizen, of course, Eddie Whiteman also. Is Billy in the house? Does he sleep somewhere? Can we wake him up? Is Billy here? Ah, we woke him up in the back room. Now, this is a true legend. I've been in business 48 years, and he's been in business 48 years more than me. Billy Knoll in the house, folks.
I'll tell you right now, folks, I can't beat any of this. These guys are too good. Well, let's see here. I have won a few tournaments in my life, along with my old buddy Eddie Whiteman. We have kicked a lot of these young fellas' butts. And, you know. Not lately. Not lately. No, they're all good. These boys are, to me, the greatest thing in Islamorada. All of these young fellas that are here are top notch. And they do what we did a long time ago. And I just don't know how to top some of these stories. Craig's story was great. I was a great friend of his father's. And we were bitter enemies in the boat, and we were best friends on shore. We'd go out and fish hard, come home and drink hard. And that's what we did the best. So, you know, all of my stories they can't be told in mixed public. They're bad. No, I can't do that. No, I really can't. You know,
where people took the guys off your boat when you were sleeping in Channel 2.
I was going to bring that up, but I wouldn't dare.
Well, one night, we'd been fishing really, really hard, and no, we didn't. We weren't drinking that night. We were fishing hard, and I fell asleep in the chair. I had a young fella in the boat with me, and Cecil was right next to me. And he paddled over, and he got this young fella out of my boat, and I didn't even know it. I was still asleep. Drifted down the channel a little bit, took him into the dock at Bud Mary's. And I woke up and I said, well, young man, we better go in. We've caught enough fish. And I looked in the chair, and he's not there. And I said, Cecil, this kid fell overboard and drowned. Well, Cecil wasn't there. Then it dawned on me that my old buddy Cecil took my angler in with him. And he was going to come out and wake me up the next morning. But yeah, that was not so good. I felt pretty bad after that. That's probably the worst thing I ever did. Well, I really don't have a lot more to say. I think I ruined myself now. But I will say this. For the inshore boys and the offshore boys, these young guys today are top notch. And Islamorada ought to be damn proud of them. Thank you.
I was going to tell that story, but I was going to save it for a roast. I tell it all the time, Billy, but now you brought it out in public, so I'm glad it's been divulged. All right, here we go. This could be about a 15-minute subject here. Richard Stanzik, Bud and Mary's finest. Here we go. He goes back a long ways, like 1960 somewhere. Richard, welcome to the microphone.
Well, thank you guys. First thing I'm going to tell you right now is I'm sitting down. Yeah, I think so. By the way, Ben Spaulding Jr. said I could have his time. So, you won't have to worry about that. Well, it's funny. I was walking in the bank, and I bumped into Ron Levy, and he said to me, I do a fishtail thing. And, I said, yeah. He said, yeah, we're going to do it over this and this and that. I said, I didn't pay attention to it, right? So I'll be honest with you. Somebody called me up yesterday, I think it was, said, Richard, your name's in the paper. And you're supposed to be talking. And I said, really? And, the truth is, I get a call from Ron, it's important. And he said, I've been emailing you. Well, I was born in 1945, man. We just don't know about this stuff, and I have decided not to email, and I do not email. But, as I sit here, I look out. By the way, I am Richard Stanzik. I sell sinkers at Bud and Mary's now. That's what happens to old fishermen, by the way, Craig. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not usually used to talking to a group of people where we give last names, and I'll get into that. Actually, it was interesting. I walked over by the bar tonight. The bartender said, "Would you like a drink?" And I said, "I'd really like one." I said, "But I'm allergic to alcohol." He said, "Really?" "Yeah." I said, "Every time I drink it, I break out in handcuffs and one of those types of deals." It's funny. I'm looking. I'm looking at the board there, and I'm thinking of Benny Spaulding Jr. Actually grew up with his father. He's hiding out down in Nicaragua now. Oh yeah. I grew up with him. But anyway, it's funny. I'm thinking about Benny Jr. and his brother Kenny. And the story I think Benny would have wanted to tell was when they were about 10 or 11, I lent them a rental boat, and they got towed back in. There was no lower unit. And you know what they told me? They told me a shark bit it off. Well, yeah, they're sticking to it. Then I look at this one here, Ben Eklund. I'm taking a trip. We're going to the out islands of the Bahamas, and Johnny Johansson convinces me that we got to have two mates. Two mates, right? So we're on a beat up old boat, Catch 22, the old boat, and we pull into Cat Key, and I look over there, and they're sitting right at the dock. 160-foot fed ship, right? Now we're all down there. We're making dinner. We're having hamburger helper. And I suddenly can't find our mates. Now, I got two, right? I can't find 2 days they're gone. Right? And you know what this kid tells me? He said we were kidnapped by the crew on this 165-foot Fed ship. And you know, I was excited about fishing, you know, and those, anyway, you know, I'm gonna tell you a story. It is gonna take a minute, but well, you know, I'm gonna tell you, truthfully, I'm gonna tell you a story about the first. That's true. The first sailfish tournament I was ever involved in, and the truth is, I fished it with a guy by the name of Jimmy Albright. And you know, my story really doesn't start here in the Keys. My story starts a little island called Bimini. And when I was a young man, really young, I think I was about 15 actually, my grandfather had a 21-foot fiber craft with a 80 horsepower inboard outboard, and I was allowed to take it into the bay. And of course, my idea of an island in those days was one like down around Government Cut where you could camp out, and I convinced him to let me use the boat, you know, for the weekend. And I took a 14-year-old kid by the name of Billy Broach, who now manages Bud Mary's and another guy, and we went to Bimini. And I'll be honest with you, I did not know the island was inhabited. I remember going, that's true, I remember going to Baker's Haulover, old guy named Stoney. I said, how do you get to Bimini? And you know, he looked at me, and you know what he said? We didn't have a GPS. Keep it on the E. Keep it on the E. Yeah. So we pulled up on the beach in, you know, the Pines, if you guys ever fished over there. And God, I heard music. And I'll never forget it. Some native walked up and said, you know, you can dock by going around there and coming through the two islands. And, you know, of course we did. And, of course, I fell in love with Bimini. And I actually remember standing on a Big Game Club dock one time with a guy named Charlie Cluck. And, you know, this was big time when everybody didn't own a Rybovich. But, yeah, and I remember looking up at this big Rybovich at that tuna tower and saying, Jesus, the closest I'm ever going to get to heaven, ever, is going to be in that tower right there. You know, this is how, you know, things started when I was a kid. So to move, fast forward it a little bit, and this is kind of funny because this idea for the story just came to me when I saw Billy Knowles. And Billy Knowles may not remember this, but I remember this. Yeah, I was sitting in Brown's Bar around 67, 68, right in that time, 68 probably. And I run into three characters. Billy Knowles, Clarence Lowe, and Bob Reineman. Okay, now I will tell you that I have had my side of the wildlife. And I'm with this guy, again, Charlie Cluck, and these son of a bitches, excuse my language, can I say that? They were so drunk and so crazy. I said, who are these guys? You know, who are these guys? Little did I know that I would wind up down here 10 years ago, and 10 years later, and then really realize who they were. But the story I'm really telling is interesting because what happened is I figured out a way at a young age to make a little extra money, and it had to do with buying case lots of liquor from a guy over there named Harcourt Brown, and one thing led to the next. The statute of limitations has run out on this. And oh wait, this is televised. Okay. Well, anyway, the long and short is, in I think it was in 1969, I had I never forget, I had a 29-foot Carry. It had a pair of 440 Chrysler Magnum engines with Borg Warner gears. It did 60 miles an hour. I could make it from Government Cut all the way to Bimini in 50 minutes, right? And so I used to hang out in Bimini all the time, and there was this woman that I had met, and I will never forget her. Her name was Mary, and Mary was interesting, a beautiful, dark, Bahamian woman. And I had a passion for that kind of thing. And she loved to drink, and she loved music, and it come to find out she would spend the entire month in Bimini. And she had a stage show in Nassau, and her stage name was Sexy Mama, which, you know, and you'll never believe it, but she actually hired me as a boat captain to fish her in a native tournament. And, you know, I heard the story about you guys and all the big fish you caught, and this part of the story is about a big fish I lost. And had a black Bahamian mate by the name of Percy Dunn. I'll never forget it. Percy got drunk one night and tried to drive that tractor they used to pull Charles Airlines up the ramp, down the ramp. He thought it could fly. You know, that's the kind of drunkenness you could expect over there in those days. So I ended up going out fishing in this tournament, native tournament, and I can remember it like yesterday. And we rigged a double-hooked dolphin on 12 wire. And, I'd run off from the pines way to the south. God, we hooked a fish, big giant blue marlin, no drop back, hole in the wall. Bingo, he's on, and I got me and Percy, and I got Sexy Mama, who was the angler. And what I remember, she wore a white T-shirt, and she sweated a lot. And it was 6 hours, on this, well, 6 hours on this fish, right? And these were kill tournaments. And we ended up getting the fish to the boat, and Percy was afraid of the damn thing. And and he misses him with the gaff. The fish sounds, and he cuts us off on the underwater gear. And, this is interesting how sometimes bad things happen and good things come out of it, and I'll get to this. I came in drinking heavily in those days, and, I decided to get drunk. What else could you do? And I actually, this is true, I passed out on the dock, cold, unconscious, blackout. And suddenly, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm being shaken by a guy by the name of Harold Adler. And you may know his son, Alex, who at the time was, don't repeat this, he was an ugly little redhead with freckles and braces. And anyway, being shaken by this guy, and he says, are you all right? I'm laying there in cut-off shorts, no shirt, I nosed it long. I had it together in those days, and I said, I think so. And he invited me. He had actually invited me in to sleep on his boat. And I've been there for months. My lips are sunburned. I'm fried. I'm hungover. And I go down in there, and I suddenly realize, you know what? I was better off in the dock. So I went back to the dock, and Harold and I became fast friends. And I'm speeding up. Anyway, what ended up happening is kind of interesting, and this is a fate. And it's interesting because what happened is Harold Adler had hired Jimmy Albright to run his boat in the 1969 Islamorada Sailfish Tournament. And the day before, 2 days before the tournament, he blew a riser, and he had the old Kalex, which was a little lapstrake Enterprise. This is long before most of you guys.
Davy J.
Yeah, at that time, but it was a Kalex at that time. So I get a phone call, and it's Harold, and he says, Richard, you got to help me out, man. He said, I've hired a captain. I've entered this tournament, and we got to have a boat. Would you consider bringing your boat down to Islamorada? I had a friend of mine, Charlie Cluck, and I remember letting him wade ashore to figure out where we were, which will tell you what the real deal was. So eventually we figured out where we were. We made it to Bud and Mary's, and we entered the tournament. Now, I had not really met anybody like Jimmy Albright. He was an intimidating figure and had a really rough side to him. And we decided that Jimmy would run the boat and that I would mate and Harold would be the angler. And I had never seen monofilament leaders. I had never seen baits. I never saw double lines put together with a screw. I think they used an electric drill, as I recall. And I remember in those days they had observers. And it was funny. We had an observer who was a lovely old woman named Jane Ryder, who lived just 2 doors. I'm not losing you. 2 doors. Okay. Two doors down from Bud and Mary's. The woman's about 60 years old, right? Now remember, we're in a 29-foot boat with 800 horsepower motor, and we got a tuna tower rigged on it. First, by the way, first tower boat of its kind, I believe. And we're fishing deadbait in the 1969 tournament. And some of the highlights that I remember is that, number one, it was so damn rough that there were actually guys on the radio saying, I bet the sumbitch sinks. Excuse me again. I bet he sinks. I bet the boat don't make it back. It was that extremely rough. But my first experience with Albright was, in those days, we used these little 12-pound conventional reels, with light line. And we sit there, I think we raised a triple or a quad, and 2 out of the 3 broke off. And Albright stormed down from the tower, looked at me, I was scared to death, picked up the reel, tested the drag, threw the rod on the damn deck, and walks back in the tower. Don't say a word to me. I'm not having fun now. And as fate would have it, we began to catch fish. We really did. And the next thing I know, this woman, I'll never forget it, sweet, gentle, soft-spoken lady, said, Richard, she said, could you talk to Captain Albright? I have to use the bathroom. And this will give you a little idea how Albright was. The bathroom on that boat, a 29-footer, was a little V-berth up front. There was a toilet right in the very front. And she said, could you have him turn down C, so that I could use the bathroom? I wanted to say, lady, I don't want to talk to this guy. And she said, would you please? And so I remember looking, I said, Jimmy, Captain Jimmy, I said, could you turn it down, the boat down C so Miss Reiner could use the bathroom? And you know what my response was? I'll never forget this as long as I live. You tell that old woman to piss in a scupper. I'm not turning the boat off course. Oh, Jesus. And, this goes back to the Billy Knowles and those guys up going, where have I come here? It's funny. As fate would have it, we ended up winning the 1969 Islamorada Sailfish Tournament. Unlike Craig Brewer, I had very little to do with it, but they didn't tell me you had to be a winner to be here. It's really interesting, because the loss of a great fish, ended up with me 10 years, from right on the dock, 10 years later, winding up being able to purchase Bud Mary's Marina, which for me has, I will tell you this, it's been a love affair, as Islamorada has. I've lasted 34 years there. I never made it over 12 with a woman. I will tell you, interestingly enough, that I wound up there by being drunk, and I stayed there by getting sober. And I'm going to tell you, that a guy named Millard Wells and a guy named Jack Brothers, helped me with that, and I believe that was divine intervention. And I do have other stories. I hope this is in line, and I hope I haven't bored you, but I love Islamorada, and I'm happy you guys asked me to come here.
Funny how fate turns life around. Richard, I would think that pretty much any guy in this place has a story how fate turns around, and someday I'll tell you how I become part of Islamorada, but that's for another time. Hey, we got Benny Eckblum in the house. Come on, son. He gets the best dressed award, other than you, Craig,
Thank you. Not sure if I should sit down or not. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ben Eckblum. I'm an offshore non-alcoholic. My family came here to the Keys in 1857. I'm 7th generation Kong. I've always loved to fish. And I was fortunate enough to grow up fishing with guys like Travis Butters, Alex Adler, Paul Ross, Scott Stanzik, Richard Stanzik, Bob Lodge, Craig Brewer. I was surrounded by, I was very, very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time at a lot of time. And I thoroughly enjoy it. Fishing, it's my passion for sure. It's a love affair. It sometimes gets in the way of other things too, but we're working on that. But I'm going to give you a story of my 2004 sailfish season in my book, it was the best of my life and pretty much the best I can ever remember there being in this town. It started out with, I fished on a boat you guys might have heard of called the How About It. And with both, I fished with both of them, but we did a little better with Charlie, a lot better with Charlie and Travis. And I'll get to the anglers in a little while. But actually, the first year that they had offered that year was the Triple Crown. You had to win first place and first place only. Second place didn't count. It was I think it was the Triple Crown or the Trifecta. I got two different answers on that. So if you didn't win and you had to have the same exact crew and anglers throughout the whole entire tournament. So if you won second inning, you were out of it. So we went on to win the first one and the second one. And then at that point, we were getting a little, it was kind of the seen and not heard thing. We was kind of looking around at each other like, oh boy, the pressure's on now, you know. It's actually really, it was never really said, but we could do it, you know. And we tried to just keep our focus and not think about how much pressure was on our back right then. And with that came, of course, all the jealousy and the speculation. Of course, people were saying, there's no way they're doing it right, this and that. So with that, the insurance company who actually funded put up the money for the Triple Crown, they sent a guy from California named Max down to do the observing. And I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure we hired an IGFA observer ourselves, so we had two on the boats. Somebody from IGFA that we knew how to fish, so that we keep everybody straight and show them that we could do it no matter who was on the boat, hopefully. And actually we ended up doing really well, but it came right down to the wire. One of our friends in that third tournament named Bobo, he on the hop-along, and he was really catching a lot of fish that day. And we're not ones to listen to the radio a lot at all. We turned it down a lot, but that day we listened to the radio. And one of the reasons we could tell, and I'm not sure how everybody knows Charlie Scoble, was we had to hand the bucket up. He was a little nervous, because all you could hear was the radio the whole time. And we were stuck because the How About It only did 12 knots, downwind, down current. And it sounded like it was doing 100 knots with the earmuffs on. So we just sat out and did the best we could. We sat in the tarpon hole, where pretty much we spent most of our time on the How About It. And ended up winning that. And it was unbelievable to be able to do all three of those tournaments and win first place in them. But we had more work to do too. Right after that, we went on to win the fly fishing tournament. I believe it was the first year that anybody caught anything. And actually, we caught a doubleheader the first morning, and with John and Asha Lord. And then the second day, we caught two more, because we made both the radio shows on Skip Show. Made the 9-10, made that show too. And it was just a phenomenal year. We actually, right after that, we won the Islamorada Fishing Club with Wally Whitley and his son, which Wally's a very good friend of mine and been like a father to me, actually. He's gave me a lot of opportunities to go all over the world and fish in places people dream of fishing. And after that, we actually won one more tournament. So it was a total of 6. We won the ladies' tournament and caught 17 with one lady. And I don't know if I mentioned this. Charlie had a broke leg through this whole entire ordeal. And we were only using one lady angler who had never caught a sailfish before she got on the How About It, and still has never caught a sailfish otherwise in a tournament. Her name was Lynn Brody. A lot of you guys, especially the backcountry guys, might know her cousin Jamie Brody. He's a very good fisherman. The late Jamie Brody. Yep. And she did it actually to keep the Brody tradition going. And it was really neat to be part of that. And between Charlie's broken leg and her just wanting to be the single angler, it was trying, to say the least. But she did really well. She listened very well, and it was really neat. I'm just glad to be able to tell you guys what I thought was a great year of fishing. Not sure how to end it exactly, but thank you.
Benjamin, you failed to mention that it was you had to win that year. If you won all 3 tournaments, come in first place, it was $50,000. You didn't mention that. You're talking a lot about it, but you won. If you had to win first, second, you had first in 3 tournaments, not second or third, and you won $50,000. That's what it was all about, bringing the people in from California and so forth. You got something else?
I brought props too. I'll just pass it around the room, and it's actually the proof.
What a year. What was that, 2004? Very nice. Terrific. All right, we got one left. I guess it's the elder of the family, Eddie. Captain Eddie Whiteman. He's always, when I first met him, says, call me Captain. Captain Eddie Whiteman in the house.
Man, I can't believe I've lived this long. My friend Billy Knowles and I, we've been friends and adversaries, graduated from high school at Carl Shores in the very first class, I think, in 1959. Can you believe that? Brewer, you weren't even thought of then. Yeah, I know your dad very well, and he hadn't got caught with that one yet.
And I tied sinkers onto him.
Yeah, speaking of Brewer, I am really proud of him. I never knew we had a shallow water skip, Ray Dean, but he's proved himself tonight.
So the next morning we get in the boat.
Did he spin a yard or what?
Running out in the middle of the black dark, this is breaking.
You know what? I'm gonna keep it light. I'm not gonna tell stories on myself because that's kind of boring. Because they're all kind of the same. But I'm gonna tell some stories on some other guys. This goes back to the early days of the Gold Cup Tarpon Championships, when it used to be a Le Mans start. And what that means is all 25 shotgun start, all 25 boats would line up out here, and somebody would shoot a gun. They'd all have a haul ass trying to get 25 boats to a one boat wheel ditch. And that got really interesting. Some of them crashed into the mangroves, some of them spun out. There's a lot of stories, but I'll tell you, that was solved. That problem was solved because Earl Gentry had a client. His name was Ron Curry, and he lived on Lake Lanier in Atlanta. So he brought his jet boat down. It did about 75 miles an hour, and they took off and they went in a straight line right across the flats. No contest, right to the pocket. Never lost her. So they figured that one out pretty quick. But I'm going to tell another one on Captain Jack Brothers. Bear in mind now, we got the Le Mans start. If you're late, you're done, right? Well, one day Jack Brothers, there's a few of us in here still remember Jack. Jack was a character, and he was from Brooklyn. He had the typical Brooklyn accent and temper, and he was Irish and loved to drink, and he was a really sweetheart guy if you didn't get on the wrong side of him. But one day Jack comes down to the dock, and I think he was somewhere in the running of the tournament. So he gets in his boat, and he gets ready to go, and everybody's going. Everybody's going like crazy because it's a Le Mans start, right? Jack gets in his boat, and he fires it up, gets his angler in, and he puts it in gear, and it won't go anywhere. And he guns it, and it won't go anywhere. Jack's chained to the dock. Somebody, I can't remember who, put a chain and a padlock on his boat through the stern eye and tied it to a post. And Jack was, to say the least, livid. Well, by the time he got the bolt cutters, which somebody provided later just to get him going so he didn't blow up the whole island, so then he took off. Well, shit happened that afternoon when we got back to the dock. Captain Jack was hell-bent on finding out who did that. Well, he never did find out. So it worked so well that on the next, I think it was the next one or one certainly after that, Jack gets into his boat, loads his angler up, same Le Mans start, gets in, fires the thing up, thing just revs up like mad. And he checks his gears, everything's okay. Somebody took his propeller off. Jack is sitting there winding this thing out about 10 grand, and it won't go anywhere. And you can imagine what the Brooklyn conch said. So that's one of my Jack Brothers stories.
WTF.
That was another one. I got a few of those. I got some that I can't tell too. Jack had a tendency to bend an elbow occasionally. But I got one on Jimmy Albright, the late Jimmy Albright, back in the Gold Cup again. Jimmy Albright got ready to go, and he was going somewhere way the hell out in the backcountry. Unbeknownst to him, Jake Mueller put a black cat in the bow compartment of his skiff. So Jake's been dead for quite a while. But anyway, he was one of the original guys back with Jack Brothers and several others. But anyway, they had a black cat, and the black cat went into hibernation when they heard the motor. But he got out to 9 Mile Bank or Sandy Key Basin or some damn where, and this cat came alive. And Jimmy goes up there and he opens the hatch to hear what all this racket is, and this cat springs out and is screaming around the boat and finally jumps overboard. Now, you can imagine what Jimmy had to say at the end of the day. I never heard what happened to the cat. Actually, I think he got, I think it was a long false cast. But that's a few of the old tarpon stories. I got a lot of those too, but you know, it's hard to dredge them up. The best way to get all these stories is get all these guys and don't stand up here with a mic. You get them all around a table and you give them about 2 hours of free booze, and then, man, the stories really get good. Because one leads to another. When you put you up here by yourself, it's like, oh shit, I feel like the worst actor in the high school class, I've just been invited to the Emmys, you know? So, but anyway, that's just some of the local things, and let me go through. I can go through a few of the things. Let me go back to the first couple of years in Homosassa. A lot of you know that Homosassa was the home of the big tarpon many years ago, and it was discovered. Well, Carl Navarre found out from Lefty Cray at the time he was an outdoor writer for the Tampa Tribune, that there was reportedly these huge big tarpon and millions of them off of Homosassa, and nobody ever heard about it. And there was two guys at the time that had been fishing that. One was Harold Masters, and he owned what was Miralures. And then there was a doctor from Naples, and those two guys kept it secret for years. So Carl found out about it. He called me, he said, let's go up and find out what we can find out. So I said, sure. So we hooked up the skiff and went up there, and Lefty Cray had given us a rough map and put us in at Bayport. Brewer knows where Bayport is. And it says, do not get out of the channel. Go all the way to the end. And we go out, we're out like 4 miles off the shore. And we say, why do we have to go to the end of this thing? We're way the hell offshore. And then the sun comes out, and there's these big black rocks sticking out everywhere. Yeah. So to make a long story short, we fooled around there for days and days and days, and we couldn't find any tarpon because what we'd find out later is a whole different story. It's like if you went to the fish tarpon here in Islamorada, and then all the tarpon were going down Hawks Channel, you'd never see them. So that's the way it kind of is up there. They're quite a ways offshore. So we couldn't find them. I staked out on points. I went into channels. I did all the stuff here, and we couldn't find them. And finally I said to Carl, Carl, we got to get an airplane. I said, I don't know where they are, but we got to get an airplane. He says, okay. So I went to the restaurant at the Riverside Inn, and I got about a dozen gallon oil, Mazola oil things, and I tied sinkers onto them. And so we got in the airplane, and we flew over, and we flew further and further and further out, and all of a sudden we found the mother load of tarpon. And I just started dropping these yellow cooking oil jugs. So the next morning we get in the boat, and we fire it up, and we start running out in the middle of the black dark just as it's breaking light, and we started looking for yellow jugs. And that's kind of the way we found them. Another funny story is after we found them, Carl took his son up there, Carl Jr., and we brought famous Bill Curtis from Miami. Well, Bill and Carl Jr. hooked this big fish, and they fight it forever, and then they disappear. We're offshore at what we call the net racks, but we're offshore, and we got a CB radio at that time, and we can't find them. We don't know where they went. And finally, we get him on the radio, and and Bill Curtis says, "This big old fish is taking us so far up this damn creek where I can hear the trucks on I-75. And he said, and another Curtisism is, later Curtisism, he says that when Mr. Navarre used to have this big helicopter, and he'd use it to chase down to find fish. And Bill Curtis swore at him. He said, these damn tarpon think that goddamn thing's a pterodactyl. They've been around forever. He said, they've been around forever. They've been around for 1 million years. They think it's a damn pterodactyl. I guess that's my swan song.
Eddie Whiteman, yeah, baby. Thank you so much. Amanda, come up here and tell us what we got to do now. Come on, baby. We're going to put some votes. Now's the time to vote. We got some, Greg?
One of many stories that every one of these guys has to tell. So this is hopefully the first in a long endeavor of many occasions where we can get together and tell stories, because these are just a few of the ones that these guys have picked out that they can tell. All right, and there's a whole bunch more. So hopefully this is the first time we're all sitting together and listening to some of these stories. But I can guarantee, I've heard way more stories from these guys than what they're telling you tonight. Hopefully, this is the first installment of a many occasion of Fish Tales from Islamorada.
Fish Tales Part 1, we're going to have 2, 3, 4, and 10. Here we go. I want to tell you how we're going to get the votes and how we're going to make some money. Oh, desserts. Desserts being served now as we vote.
While you are enjoying your dessert, remember, please, you have one free vote to put in the fishbowl or to give to Beth or me with the name written on it, and we will be coming around the tables asking you, if you don't want to get up, asking you how many tickets you'd like to buy in order to put them in the fishbowls. So please be generous, and we can have this event many times to come.
That's it. Everyone's $10 a vote, and we're going to give away first and second, second first, first second, the awards and the Fish Tales. So let's go ahead and do what we're here for. Let's put some money in ICE. Thank you very much.
Saltwater, you're making me an offer. Saltwater, got no time for tricks. Saltwater, you're rusting through my fender. My head's just fine where it sits, and I don't want to take that ball of dick with you, babe.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. You did very well.
Really
terrific.
I think Brewer wants your job.
Where's Brewer? Brewer's not getting my job.
Saltwater, you make my body itch. Saltwater, so bad with heavy ending. My head's just fine after the wine. Spent all of my money on one last line for you, babe.
All right, here we go, kids.
Who won?
I'm going to tell you who came in second. That's how we started off right now. The 2012 Fish Tales, first annual. We're going to have many. Let's have 15 or 20 or 30 while I'm around here. The runner-up this year in the first annual Fish Tales. The stories from Craig Brewer, runner-up. Where's Craig? Where is he? Oh, Mrs. Brewer going to accept the trophy?
I'll have to accept on his behalf because he's walking his mother. He's walking my mother out to her car in the dark because he's such a gentleman.
He's such a gentleman. Here you go, baby. I'm glad he's not here in the way because I'm tired of listening on the mic.
Oh, he'll come back and he'll take the mic away from you.
I'm sure he will. All right. Hey, this year, first ever. The first year, 2012, Fish Tales, Islamorada Fishing Club. Thank you, Vinny, the girl, Jeff, the boys, everybody. What a great dinner. Was that terrific tonight? They put it out. Thank you so much. Cheryl, our master of ceremony, the girl that makes us all happy with the club. The winner this year, Mr. Eddie Whiteman, Captain Eddie Whiteman.
That is so far off the wall, I can't believe it.
Oh, well, it's...
I mean, you're talking about the wall fire, the swinging violet, and all that kind of stuff. My boat's named are longer, so that tells you anything.
Whatever, kid. You were in town when I got here and love you, man. Congratulations, Eddie. Congratulations. Eddie Whiteman, this year, 2012 winner, Fish Tales. As we say in the radio business, stay tuned in for the next Fish Tales. We'd like to see it real soon. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Saltwater, she only talks in riddles. Saltwater, she just gives me a hint. Saltwater, a feeling so familiar. On my knees with the Keys disease, I get fumigated when she sneezes. Saltwater, you're making me an offer. Saltwater, I got no time for tricks. Saltwater, you're rusting through my fenders. My head's just fine where it sits, and I don't want to take that fall in the ditch with you, babe.